into the action.
Thank you very much, Dash. Welcome to the 2v2 side selection decider for Game 1. My name is David Freak Turley, joined by Martin DeFischer Lunga on the far side and Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley in the middle. We've got Canadian Sandwich.
That's true.
I guess.
Because that's how sandwiches work.
Actually accurate.
You described about what's in the middle. So there we go.
You just nod and smile when it's Freak. Just let it.
You're doing great, Freak. You're doing great.
Thanks very much. League of Legends and video games. Now, for those of you who missed the memo, since Fnatic and Team Liquid are both the #1 seeds in their respective regions, side selection is decided by a 2v2. Winning the 2v2 requires one of three conditions. First turret destroyed, first team to 2 combined kills, or first team to 100 combined last hits on minions. Now, taking to Howling Abyss, it's Impact and Pobelter for Team Liquid, and Bwipo and Caps for Fnatic.
So it's going to be solo laners for both these teams. Well, I guess Bwipo was kind of a bot laner now.
He's everything.
But it's pretty much solo laners, and I think it makes a lot of sense if you're going to go for a less traditional bot lane. If you don't want to play marksman plus support, you want to play more all-in style champions. Hey, mages, fighters, etc. are going to be better played by these guys.
And we saw Nivea Poppy yesterday from G2. Worked really well. They managed to get 2
what happens
kills.
if it's a Nivea Poppy mirror match?
Oh, I don't know. I guess who puts up the wall
Then you
first?
don't learn W on Poppy ever. Well, no, you can stop the charge. I guess it's actually valuable, but you gotta make sure you don't get stunned before this charge.
It's not going to be Poppy versus Nivea Mirror.
Chances are very low. What if it's Zillion versus Zillion, no spells? Like it's a Froggen versus
Froggen
Froggen from like a year ago, yeah. That's not likely to be the
See,
case.
Poppy got banned. I called it.
Literally can't be.
Predictions.
Wow.
The analysis on this
There
guy.
you go. I was prepared for
Gigantic
this.
brain. All right, can't even imagine what else is going to be happening here. But yeah, I'm curious what happens. I have noticed that traditionally, like a traditional support hasn't been like a great option so far.
Oh yeah,
it's been like
stuff.
mage for the most part, or mage tank.
And I tend to think that one of the strongest strategies would just be picking like double mage with incredible push and poke, right? Like I'm still waiting for Zyra, Zyra Ziggs, give me Zyra and Syndra is banned out, but like these sorts of strategies where you just have so much push, you shove in your opponents under the turret, because if you're playing to win, 100 CS is a very viable strategy. We've seen how much worse the players are at last hitting under the turret on Howling Abyss because, it is less shots to kill the minions and people aren't totally prepared for that.
Right, the game rules are actually different functionally in Howling Abyss, where the turret damage is very much different here compared to Summoner's Rift, but also this still has a lot of the Howling Abyss changes on live where like cannon waves are desynced, blue team gets their cannon minion first, so the second wave will always push into red team's turret. You can either reset off that or use that tempo to sort of keep a push lead going.
I want to mention a quick thing on Fnatic's side because outside of the studio yesterday, Fnatic, they were talking about the 2v2, what were they going to do, and they mentioned Sion would be like overpowered because you can't ward the brush. And he just stands and then he charges up Q all the time, and you can't really walk into it, you can't face him, it's hard to all in the other champion. And that seems to be the strategy here, is you stand in there, you land the knock up into a knockback from Taliyah, and that's a lot of burst damage.
It is a lot of burst damage, but the only thing where that falls short is if you're under your turret, right? If you lose the push, then all of a sudden, who cares if Sion's
They didn't
sitting
get to
in
that
the
part of the
brush?
strategy.
So
They're in the brush.
So it'll be interesting to see if they can actually keep the lane more neutral, because I do agree brush control becomes very, very difficult to deal with. You can't face check the Sion as either of these champions, but if Brand and Lux play to the bottom side of the map, away from the brush, and just go for full push the whole time, they should be able to outshove these two, and then the Sion maybe finds more difficulty. But that being said, Sion still does have decent wave clear, and you can E-max.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how the thing actually plays out. I also really want to know exactly what runes we're going to see on this Sion, and we will get a bunch of like rune graphics during the game to spot what's going on, because keep in mind, first blood doesn't win you the game. You've got to get a second kill. So even if they do kill the Sion off somehow, he plays too aggressively. If he's running like, first of all, they're running 2 exhausts, but also if he's running, something crazy like the slow on hit, which he actually is. He's running Glacial Augment. He just goes into crazy undead form and just punches the Lux back and trades a kill anyway. So even individual kills for Liquid might not mean much.
He's just hoping right now that they're going to focus him down so he can actually use the passive, and then bam, 2 kills for Fnatic.
Suicide Sion.
It's maybe going to work. I will have to see.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't just go Comet, to be honest. When you are against 2 relatively squishy champions, I feel like Comet may be pretty effective here, but perhaps looking more for that all-in, and time to find out, is there any counterplay to standing in the brush and waiting for your opponents to come there?
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, the counterplay is high.
On the counterplay.
He's literally
you stand away from the brush. The strategy has already been defeated.
Ooh, and now they know Taliyah was on the other side of that wall.
Ooh.
But now you're zoning them. Spooky. The wave is going to come in. They can't get close enough. Oh, no. Did they find him?
Ooh, and Airy triggered, so actually you can see where they went.
Caps got hit. Bwipo did not.
Yep. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like the strategy isn't very good.
Vision provided, and they can't actually see the sign. They get the damage there.
All right, this sucks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Massive NA brains.
New picks.
you could just play to the bottom side of the map. So now it just becomes who pushes better, and Brand plus Lux should push better. So I feel like Fnatic didn't really think through the full strategy. But that being said, they can still play, you know, more standard style. You don't have to depend just on this bush stuff.
I mean, we have to remember a pre-level 6 Sion can't really engage unless he lands, you know, the big knockup. It's not like the Poppy and Nivea where you can charge forward into a wall. And that's going to make it even harder for Fnatic to actually get close to the very long-range poke. Caps might just be the target who they try to poke down.
And I mean, one of the things if you go into a slower game with Taliyah is the ground actually gets, the work ground gets used up pretty quickly here.
In fact, the Ignite on Caps does have Flash Ignite, but he's okay. Bwipo has heal as well if needed. Did change his summoners up, so it's not the double exhaust anymore, but that was what was hovered during Champ Select. Yeah, Caps taking a bad recall.
And Caps is out of health potions here, which is a pretty big deal against all this poke. A level 2 here for TL. I mean, if he gets caught by a binding, he's probably dead, but even without that, you know, definitely the potential to poke this guy out.
And it's a giant wave that's going to crash because Liquid had priority over the lane, even though they had to face against the first cannon minion, they still got the push going. So this is like a 2 to 3x stacked wave with a cannon on top. It won't kill the turret, but it's going to be some decent damage and decent chance to poke.
And normally here you end up missing most of the CS just because it's so hard to last hit on this map under the turret. That misses as well.
If Q landed from Brand, that would have been a forced heal right there because it would have been enough damage to kill. So that's Caps forced out of lane, and we can see what kind of CS can even be picked up here by Bwipo. 6 CS lead for TL, but a wave waiting to be killed.
Yeah, and TL didn't do the best job last hitting while pushing it in, so it's not insanely ahead, but you'll see how much harder it is to actually last hit a lot of these. The turret is just going to kind of one-hit most of those, but Bwipo does manage to get a couple, and the buy from Caps is actually 5 potions. He's like, okay, you know these, they keep poking me. There's what do I do?
Pretty much that or a Fairy Charm. There's only so much money you've got there. And of course, Rock serving pretty powerful, of course. Did get nerfed in early ranks in the 8-13 hotfix we're playing on, so not quite as fast back to lane, but Caps did miss XP on that entire wave, basically under turret, so still barely level 2 here.
The Biscuit rune actually very smart. You can see Bwipo and Impact both took it, so they have their first Biscuit, and now that's Impact, you know, on 5 potions plus a Biscuit. He's going to be exceptionally hard to ever poke out. It basically means you're going to have to all in these guys to get a kill.
I think also it's interesting we have stopwatch on Bwipo because most of our games so far have been decided pretty early on. Like level 3 would be the first all in and someone would die, and then quickly after they would get a second kill. But he's actually hoping you get all the way
to 8 minutes. I mean, that can happen if you're going for 100 CS game, which they think might happen if you're playing, you know, Sion and double mage. Their win condition is CS. So
he's gonna get level 6 at some point. He's gonna try and use that to force an engage. But there's double flash.
Ooh. Good knock up there, and yeah, that's flash out.
Yeah, and he should hit 6 before Impact's flash comes back up now. So that is the potential to actually look for a kill there. And yeah, kind of using the brushes pretty well with the E-poke is gonna be pretty effective. But you have to say then, Comet would have just been probably better, right? Like Glacial Augment, unless that's going to actually get you killed with the zombie or...
He's auto 0 times.
I'm just waiting for the zombie. Oh, Captain's the
knockup. That's a nice root. Big damage there. Ignite is on. The trade's going to come in. That's going to be Caps going down, but there is the trade. The damage is on. A nice shield out from Lux. Impact is running.
He could die
and he can't reach him just yet. The stun's going to land. That should be the easy trade kill. There's no way out for Bwipo. He's got a flash, but his shield's not yet up. Okay, there it's back. But I feel like it's easy. That's the auto. That's it over. Team Liquid with a 2-on-2 against side choice.
I think Bwipo didn't think through that if he died too, they lost. So getting the trade kill is not actually worth it there when you're dying to get it. So
you needed 4 more minutes for that stopwatch. That would have been big for him. Sadly, not ready in time. Caps no flash. I think going into the fight. Or did he maybe? But I think it was gone.
Here you just have to leave as Bwipo and say, okay, we lost this fight, and I'll live, and then we can try to win a 2v2 at level 6, right? Because there's still the potential. But when you're flashing forward there, you're guaranteeing your own death. Yeah. It is just for side selection, but still. Fnatic, I think, didn't think this one fully through.
All right, Wreckage will be starting now. Out.
Well, so far, pre-match 2-on-2s have a 50% prediction rate of who's going to actually win the game. So might not mean too much.
So it gives us nothing. No new information.
I mean, that's not like this was like going to decide the match, of course. So that is what it is. Either way, going into game 1, Coach Dylan Falco thinks preparation will be the most valuable resource versus Team Liquid.
in this meta, you can win or lose draft way harder than you could in the past. Like in old metas, it was like pick a good AD carry, pick a good mage mid that can wave clear, and then just hope your 5v5 is good. And then the drafts would be maybe like 55-45 or 6-4. But because you can play mages bot lane, bruisers bot lane, and double supports bot lane, if the enemy has countered your comp or countered certain champions, it can be a lot harder to win the game. So I think preparation has a lot to do with this, but I also think adaptations on stage matters a lot as well, because you will likely be put in a situation you haven't seen before in practice.
Two things there. If preparation is important, number one, Team Liquid having won that
Blue side, baby.
has elected for blue side, which just suggests that, of course, they have a plan already ready for that. I'm going to assume Dylan Falco's got a plan ready for both sides. But I also question the preparation then for the 2v2 matchup. In particular, looking at Bwipo's rune choices here on that Sion. What are our thoughts?
Bad, very bad. Like,
good.
I don't really like not going Comet and then
EU
stopwatch.
strats, boys. It's EU strats. It's about being close and huggy and making sure you're...
And losing?
I mean, the losing was... It's a false sense of security. We got to give you something.
Ah, that's what it is. All right, well, we'll see what Fnatic breaks out in the 5v5 rematch of MSI opponents. Of course, again, we've talked about how different this team looks from the Fnatic that we saw at MSI.
Yeah, exactly that. Because last time it was very much about the cap show. This guy was all about getting on big carries, all these resources invested into him, and then Fnatic, they just generally played through him rather than through their bot lane. And now they've got Bwipo in the bot lane. They're not running Reckless. We've already seen him play yesterday. He swip swaps between Soaz in the top lane or bot, and it's just a very different dynamic to what Team Liquid has probably experienced in the past.
So then the question is, if Pobelter, who's found comfort in this meta and on Aurelia especially, can go toe-to-toe with Fnatic's mid lane.
It's going to be interesting to see, because at MSI as well, he kind of started tunneling in on that Malzahar pick, and then eventually that got banned away. That's kind of how Aurelia feels right now, but he does look very comfortable just generally across this new meta, where he's getting a lot more alone time, it feels like, with junglers worrying more about side lanes or funneling. He's been looking very good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times he gets Aurelia by default because the attention is spent on Impact and Doublelift and Xmithie and all the other guys on Team Liquid. So I'm interested to see that matchup. But what I'm really wanting to see is how Doublelift matches up with this Fnatic team, because we have Reckless, a player who has said that they have a better chance just never playing 80 carries, and Doublelift, who I feel like carried TL to the Spring Split Championship and also has them tied for first place in North America as an 80 carry player. So that's a really exciting match.
Right, already the theories don't necessarily align, and then removing that from the conversation and just looking at the possible matchups, he doesn't know who he's playing against still.
No, he doesn't.
In the bot lane, he doesn't know what champions he's playing
Not a
against.
marksman.
He knows it's not a marksman, but he doesn't know which top laner and whether or not it's going to be a Heimerdinger or a Sion. But now let's hand it off to Obli, maybe Glacial Augment Sion. Let's hand it off to Obli, who spoke with Kane about the strengths EU teams bring to Rift Rivals.
Thanks, guys. Just spoke with Kane, who says that Team Liquid is pumped and ready to rep that North American pride. He says that EU is a little bit more adaptive to the current meta, but that's why him and Team Liquid are going to use Rift Rivals to kind of test out new strats and really up their game. They scrimmed against G2 earlier this week, and we're pretty impressed with their high-level play, but that's just going to make beating them today all the more sweet. As for their revenge match versus Fnatic today, he's pretty upset, or rather sad, that Reckless won't be here because he wants to take Fnatic down in their full form. Back to you guys.
I think this is their full form, though. That's kind of what we're driving at here.
He wants him on Janna.
I loved how initially that was a lot of praise towards Europe, and I was like, is he gonna trash talk EU at all? But at the end, he did say that he was gonna take down Fnatic, so I'd like to see what Team Liquid can bring out today.
Looking for that revenge win against Fnatic. We'll see how that match plays out in not too long, but for now, we're stepping away. When we return, we'll share our thoughts on patch 8.13, and Vedius will give us his thoughts on some of the unique picks in this tournament. All that and more after the break.
Are they...
The one thing that Europe has over NA, I think, is the mid laners. So, yeah, sucks for you guys.
They don't have a lot of teams like that. Oh my God!
Perks is just making 100 Thieves look stupid right now.
I do know a little bit about Levi's. I have some nightmares after playing his Nocturne at Worlds. Like, I'm not even sure what to expect from them, and you don't know what's coming, so you just have to be well prepared.
And Levi's gonna try his damnedest, and now he's got a few minions in front. Tries to clear him as he goes. Quick draw forward.
Levi's staying alive.
The EU bottom lanes that play Heimer are just like really, really strong at the champion.
Approaching right now. That's a triple bounce to the Heimerdinger. Can they just delete him immediately? Yes, they can. All tag just eliminated. He's gonna be a second one instantly deleted.
That was a lot of rockets.
Shut down there. So while Huni's had some good moments, that might not have been one of them.
I really want to like play good because I still need to prove I'm gonna cross every EU top laner.
When Huni was in Europe, he was like regarded as by far the best top laner, so it would be nice to like play against him and see what all the fuss is about.
Welcome back to Rift Rivals 2018, where we're 6 minutes away from Champion Select for Game 1. So we got to race through some stuff that we had planned here for the top of the show. At Rift Rivals, we have the first exposure to patch 8.13, and with it, the newest rework to hit the Rift. Of course, we're talking about Aatrox. What are our thoughts?
Wonder made it look really, really good. They had a good matchup for it and a good draft, and then he made sure to play it very well. Snowballed through a lot of these dives that Aatrox is especially good at. He has some sick animations. And then once you're ahead on Aatrox, due to his like pretty low mobility in a team fight, if you're ahead, you're willing to tank more damage. You can kind of just charge through them in the thick of this fight moving forward. Even on low HP, it's going to be fine. So really good game out of him.
It's great to see that these reworks ended up being not as useless as initially expected.
Yeah, very much so. Of course, there were a couple other big changes to hit on this patch. Jat, let's talk about the gold flowing across the Rift.
And this is one you don't necessarily notice, but is fairly impactful. Last patch, there was actually no additional kill gold when you killed someone with a 2-kill lead on you. So that's why 300 gold, that's base kill gold. Now, you get 450 if the person has 3 kills, you get 600 gold, and it scales more and more to actually have larger rewards for people with large kill streaks. So this makes games not snowball as hard and bounce back a little bit more, because in pro play, it's very rare that someone's at 3 kills and gets shut down. Much more common to have 2 kills and get shut down.
Right.
We saw that numerous times yesterday to help prolong games a little bit.
Increasing the reward for taking the risk of going after that fed player, and then, of course, punishing fed players more when they are caught out of position. With the patch, NA is introduced to 3 high-pressure picks from EU. So I'm going to hand it over to Vidius to break those ones down. Head over to the telestrator, my friend.
Thank you very much, Dash. Yes, join with me, my fellow friends, as we run through some picks that are worth watching at this tournament, because EU have brought some pretty interesting champions that NA wasn't quite expecting, which are Heimerdinger, Pike, and Talon. Starting off with Heimer down, often in the bottom lane. European teams love him because of his ability to constantly push in the lane. He becomes extremely obnoxious as well when you try to gank him too. His turrets give him a lot of wave clear, along with a lot of defensive capabilities that help keep him alive, and basically just make him very difficult to kill. Overall, a very obnoxious champion that Europe absolutely loves to run, and here are just a couple of examples of how difficult he can be to deal with. Up next is Pike. In Europe, we absolutely love this support. He is the most contested support in Europe at this moment in time. We love him for 2 main reasons, largely because of his flexibility. You can either use him as a kill lane down the bot, you pair him up with a pretty strong kind of bot laner like Swain or even Vlad, and you can have all kinds of kill pressure looking for fights and looking to get yourself kills. Alternatively, you pair him up with a pretty safe wave clear bot laner, and you can have him roaming around the map looking for kills. Europe loves to roam, and you're going to see it a lot more throughout the rest of this tournament. Talon is our final pick, and even though we haven't seen him played yet at this tournament, he was banned against Fnatic yesterday, and he made his debut over in the other Rift Rivals going on the other side of the world. His roaming ability and his sheer amount of damage is something that really needs to be feared for, and in particular against those funnel compositions when he's running things like Smite to get in the enemy jungle and be overall obnoxious. So, gentlemen, those are my 3 picks. NA doesn't really have any of this creativity, so is there anything you want to say about some of the cool stuff that we brought over?
We have a top NA mid laner called Power of Evil, who actually played Talon. So NA's got that.
And he has some pretty crazy picks. With the battle lines already drawn, we decided to simplify predictions by slotting the analysts into their given regions to duke it out NA versus EU style. So here they are.
Yeah.
The first time Jat and Mark have ever worked together on something.
Will you have Echo Fox over G2?
Wait a minute. That is definitely... Wait. That is...
What are you doing?
EU lads went full EU. EU lads went...
All right, so you have G2 in the second one, so that's just a mistake on the screen. So you just went full EU.
Improper text, but correct logo.
Yeah, look, because that is the matchup. The logo is the pick.
Oh, and then the logo is... We got confused by our own graphic. Okay, so there they are. The picks laid out.
So actually, I am a traitor.
Wait, you flipped on me,
Welcome! Yes, Vidius and I can realize, so there's been enough I've been skeptical of NA for a while.
Gotta zoom in on this.
And I'm hoping that they lose a little bit here. Because right now, I do think that EU has an edge. And I am so concerned about NA. Instead of just being worried about it, I'm just going to embrace it. And if NA goes 0-5 today, well, at least I called it. Because they're not good right now. They're not playing funnel well. They're not playing Mage's bot right well.
You had a traitor in your midst all along.
This is a lose-lose for you, Jack. Because either you're right and EU wins and you feel bad and you're still in North America, or you're wrong, NA does well and no one likes you because you picked Europe. This is a lose-lose for you.
I'm just going with what's probably going to be right.
Don't worry, you're going to be right, Dad.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of EU fans that watch this show, Mark. You have to realize this.
Yeah, I believe it.
Normally at a loss for words.
You gotta
I'm
pander to
actually
them?
at a loss for words.
I'm not pandering.
I'm honestly disgusted. All right,
You
well,
picked 3 EU teams,
I'll
Mark.
just throw mine up
we
there,
have, to
too.
go to, we have to go to game. We're going to deal with this behind the scenes, but send it out to the casters for game 1. Guys, what the heck?
Okay, thanks, Dash, and no thanks, Jat. I want to point out, though, real quick, Jat has a sub 50% prediction rate in the NALCS. He is so bad at predicting the winners when they involve North American teams, he probably got it wrong here.